Hjertelig velkommen til et nytt program her på Israelkanalen. Denne gangen så skal vi snakke om arkeologi, og nærmere bestemt bibelsk arkeologi. Og da beveger vi oss selvsagt til landet hvor alt sammen skjedde, til Israel. Og Israelkanalen, vi støtter jo en del ulike arkeologiske prosjekter, blant annet Temple Mount Sifting Project, som i korte trekk går ut på at man går gjennom alt dette jordmaterialet som ulovlig ble gravd ut fra tempelplassen for noen år tilbake og dumpet nede i Kedrondalen. Disse massene har man da begynt å gå gjennom, og man finner veldig mange arkeologiske skatter i dette utgravde materialet. Et annet prosjekt som vi støtter er det arbeidet som Adam Zertal gjorde oppe i Manasseh-området i Samaria. Der er vi med og støtter fortsatt publikasjoner av disse rapportene som han leverte igjen, og hovedpersonen der er Bar. Denne gangen så skal vi se litt på Shiloh, et område som betydde veldig mye i Gamle Testamentet. Tabernakelet ble stående der i ca. 400 år, og på den måten så har det satt sitt preg på historien i Israel. Og en av de som har ledet, og som leder utgravningene der for øyeblikket, det er Scott Stripling, en amerikansk arkeolog. Jeg traff ham for en tid tilbake, og får høre litt om hva han har oppdaget under det arbeidet som han har gjort der. Så følg med på dette.
Scott Stripling, we are here at the dig site in Shiloh. For how long have you been working here?
We started here in 2017, and we did 3 seasons. We missed 2 because of the pandemic, and now we're back for our 4th season, and this is the beginning of the 4th week of excavation.
And when you look at the discoveries that you have made here, are there any breaking news regarding that?
There are a number of important discoveries, and synergistically they all come together, I think, to really give us a true picture of what life was like in biblical times. The ceramic pomegranates, the altar horns, the storage rooms, the monumental building, the bone deposit on the east, all of these together, I think, are giving us a picture of the sacrificial system that operated here.
When it comes to the placement of the tabernacle that was mentioned in the Bible, what can you say about that?
Well, this has been a big question. We've always wondered, where was the Mishkan, and would we find evidence of not necessarily the tent itself, because it was made of animal skins, but the things that went with the tabernacle. And I think we have begun to find that. Where do we think it was located? So some take that it's here on the northern platform behind us. That was Charles Wilson's idea in 1866. Many people still believe that, but there's no archaeological evidence to support that, but that is a popular idea. Others think that on the summit of the mound at the highest point, that was another possibility, but when it was excavated to build the tower, no evidence was found there. Others think that the southern approach, where the 5 churches are, may have been a location. The Christians seem to be venerating that area, but the problem with that is that it's outside the wall, so you would be leaving your sacred shrine unfortified. And then I had talked back in 2016 and 2017 about the possibility that the tent was mobile here at Shiloh, that the whole site was seen as a temenos, or a sacred area, and maybe certain times of the year it was in one location of the site. So the wind was blowing a certain direction, it would be better to have it in a certain place. So I was very surprised when we then found a 5th option, which is on the northern slope. We have a building that is monumental in size, that orients to the east-west, that has a good bit of cultic material like ceramic pomegranates and altar horns around it. And then to the east of that, we have a very large bone deposit. Many thousands of bones, a large amount of late Bronze Age pottery that dates back to the time of Joshua, mixed in together in this sacred deposit. So I think you take all that together, it suggests that here on the northern slope, we may have indeed located a possible location for the Mishkan.
So to find it here on the top, will that make the significance of this place even stronger?
I think so. I mean, if people are looking for a connection, a synchronism between the past and the present, or between the historical sources like the Bible gives us, then I think so. This is a very important synchronism. So you've got material culture that is consistent with what you would expect to find if the Bible were a reliable historical source.
Up here, you showed me the walls that you think that the tabernacle was situated on. Can you tell me a little bit about the wall system? Because I was thinking that the tent was on the ground.
Well, so was I. But as I began to research, I discovered again, I started with the biblical text. And in 1 Samuel 3, at the beginning of the chapter, we're reading about the curtains of the tabernacle. By the end of chapter 3, you're reading about the walls of the tabernacle and the door of the tabernacle, Dette, the door. So it seems even in the biblical text that something is changing. And then we have two places in the Mishnah where the tabernacle is described. And it says that a platform for the tabernacle was built at Shiloh, and that it had walls, but a tent was over it. So this is very interesting. We come along as archaeologists, and what do we uncover? A monumental building that matches the dimensions given in the Bible, that orients east-west. So maybe this is consistent then with what we're reading in the Mishnah, what we're picking up in 1 Samuel 3.
So, as a conclusion of all this, do you think the Bible is more believable after your discoveries?
More believable, I don't know. I never had a problem with the Bible as a reliable historical source. I think that, unfortunately, many secularists have made the Bible guilty until proven innocent. And I'm not wanting to, just take the Bible and nothing else. But I do want it to be treated the same way that other ancient literature is treated. The Egyptian literature, the Mesopotamian literature, we have no reason to believe that the Bible is not a reliable historical source, especially when we find things like this, and a lot of them. Like, there are hundreds of synchronisms between the archaeological data and the biblical text. So I have found it to be reliable, and I have to tell you, after decades of excavating here in Israel and in Jordan, I think the Bible's our go-to source over and over again. Like our bones, 2/3 of our bones are from the right side of the animal here, 1/3 is from the left side of the animal. How do you explain that without Leviticus 7, which says that the right side of the animal is the priest's portion? So here in the land of the Bible, big surprise, the Bible is our go-to source.
Yeah. So the findings of the bones that shows that the could be no other explanation that it's sacrificial.
Nobody has given another explanation for this. I don't know of any other literature that would answer this. The Bible says that the Israelites were here in that time period. We have evidence that they were here, and this sacrificial system supports that same idea.
Wonderful.
Ja, det var herlig å høre Scott Stripling fortelle om utgravingene han har gjennomført på Shiloh. Og dette funnet med denne muren som indikerer altså en størrelse som er lik med tabernakelet, er jo veldig, veldig spennende. Og jeg ble veldig overrasket når han forteller om dette her, fordi at jeg, som jeg nevnte i intervjuet her, jeg trodde jo at tabernakelet ble bare satt ned på bakken. Men når man leser bibelteksten, så ser man også at det kan tyde på at det var et mer solid og permanent sted som etter hvert ble plasseringen av dette tabernakelet. Det var veldig spennende å følge med på hans utgravinger, og også dette funnet av disse her dyredelen, at man ser at det er den høyre siden som man finner benresten av fra, som også indikerer da at dette her var et offersted som Bibelen beskriver. Det er også fascinerende å høre hva Scott sier om Bibelens troverdighet, for han betyr ikke Bibelen, han har ikke noe problem med Bibelens troverdighet. Den regner han som sann på grunn av sin tro, men altså, nå ser vi også at Bibelen kan bli bekreftet gjennom de funnene som han faktisk er med på å grave ut av jorda her. Så dette var veldig spennende. Jeg filmet litt med drone, og som dere kan se, så er plasseringen av tabernakelet, slik som han foreslår, litt annerledes enn det som dere som har besøkt Shiloh, og har blitt fortalt antageligvis at den ligger på nordsiden nede på sletten som han beskrev. Så vi ser altså at den ligger oppe i skråningen nedenfor dette tårnet som har blitt bygd, hvor man viser disse filmene om Shiloh. Scott Stripling er jo ikke bare kjent for utgravingene i Shiloh. Han har også vært med på et banebrytende funn oppe fra Ebals alter oppe i Samaria. Det alteret som Adam Zertal i sin tid oppdaget. Og i 2019 så fant man altså en amulett, en forbannelsesamulett, på forbannelsens fjell i alteret, eller i det som var utgravingen fra alteret. Og han forteller litt om dette funnet her.
When it comes to the altar on Mount Ebal, the cursed amulet that you found there, can you say something, explain a little bit more about that?
Well, we found a tablet that was 2 by 2 centimeters, so it was very small. Originally 4 by 2 centimeters, but it had been folded in half, made of lead. And I could see on the outside that it had glyptic markings, and I knew that it's what we call a defixio, or a cursed tablet. Hundreds of these have been found in Israel, so we know what they are. The thing that was shocking about this is that it was from a very early archaeological context. I mean, there's only 2 choices on Mount Ebal that Adam Zertal excavated. There's Late Bronze 2 and there's Iron 1. And so if there was text on it, then that means that the text would be the earliest Hebrew ever found. And ultimately, we were able to recover text by taking a series of tomographic scans to penetrate through the lead and read what was on the inside, and we were shocked at what we found. We had the word curse, arur, repeatedly, and we even had the name of God on there twice, Yod He Vav. And so this is like by far the oldest mention of the name of God here in Israel. So the idea of literacy, I think, is important because secularists have argued that Moses and Joshua were illiterate. They could not have written the Bible when the Bible says that they wrote the Bible, or at least the Pentateuch, to be fair. Now I think we have proof that they did. They had an alphabetic script, and it's what we would call proto-alphabetic. It's older than Paleo-Hebrew, so I was totally shocked when I saw the script, and I thought, this is, how else do we explain this? It's on Mount Ebal, the mountain of the curse. It's a curse tablet. It comes from the altar, and it's in the oldest possible form of script that we have. It appears that Hebrew may be the world's oldest alphabet.
How has this discovery been received in the academic world?
Well, I don't know yet broadly because our academic publication is not out yet. I'm 99% finished, but I'm needing to finish the Shiloh excavation. Then I can do that last percent. It has been widely accepted and also has received criticism, which is strange because there's not really anything to criticize yet because they haven't seen the academic publication. Now, in the broader world, the announcement has found enormous enthusiasm. We have people from all over the world. As you were standing here with me, there were people walking by asking me questions about it from all over the world with publications. So there's an immense curiosity, I think, that we all have with our past. Those of us who are Christians, those of us who are Jews. Do our sacred scriptures have a rooting in historicity? So I think that there has been a positive reception overall, but most people are withholding academic judgment, as they should, until the publication is out.
Okay. I just wish you all the best with your publication of these findings that you have done, and I hope that you will discover a lot more here on Shiloh as well.
Thank you. I appreciate your interest and appreciate your viewers' support.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dette funnet som Scott Stripling var med på å oppdage i 2019, ble altså analysert i 2022, og i 2023 så ble den vitenskapelige rapporten fagfellevurdert og publisert. Det som Scott sa i dette intervjuet her, er jo at den viser jo at språket, det skriftlige språket, alfabetet og så videre, har vært tilgjengelig på et langt, langt tidligere tidspunkt enn det man har oppdaget tidligere. Så man skyver altså grensen for for skriftspråket 200 år cirka tilbake i tiden. Og det betyr jo også at Moses, som en del liberale teologer hevder, at ikke kunne skrive, han kan da altså bli kreditert også for det som da står i Mosebøkene. Og det er jo klart at dette her er jo ganske sensitivt, og ikke uten grunn så har også en del kritikere hevet sin røst mot dette funnet. Men Scott Stripling, han stoler på at dette er riktig, det han har kommet fram til. Og vi har også hatt med Zvi Koenigsberg i et tidligere program som forteller om prosessen med å desifrere denne her amuletten. Og derfor så har vi også spurt Zvi Koenigsberg hva han mener om denne prosessen videre. For dette her er uhyre interessant, så følg med på dette.
The whole issue of Mount Ebal, everyone who is objective in any way agrees with one thing, that if it is what we think it is, then it's a sea change, a huge sea change in the entire understanding of the Bible, of that time period, of how the nation of Israel was formed. It's huge, it's bigger than anything ever. And writing at that place is insane. It's an insane development. It's crazy. Not only that, I'll tell you I gave a lecture 4 years ago. I'd completely forgotten about it. I was looking through YouTube under my name to see what I find. And I had given a lecture about the Song of the Sea, Exodus 15, which is considered the oldest biblical text ever. And I was able to understand, as a result of my research, that probably the place where that was written was Mount Ebal. Now, why? Because there was a book a few years ago by the president of the University of Amsterdam, Van der Toorn, who is an Assyriologist, very well respected, Scribal Cultures and the Making of the Hebrew Bible. And what he says is that all biblical texts, without exception, had to have been produced in a temple. Now, Mount Ebal is 200 years before Jerusalem, at least. So the biblical reference in Exodus 15 about a temple could not be referring to Jerusalem. What was around in 1200 BC that could be described as a temple, something I've been saying for 40 years, Mount Ebal. And if it was the only temple at the time, and the text is very old, and could only have been written in a temple environment, that's where it was written. And the crazy thing is that if I'm right, there is at least a possibility that there are more written materials to be found at the site that we have not yet discovered. And this is insane. It's a thought, just think about it, it's mind-boggling. So how do we preserve this? I've been killing, did I tell you about my grandson in the Special Forces unit and his commander who helped me out in Mount Ebal? No, I don't think so. Oh, this is another good story. Whoever's listening. Okay, my grandson, by the way, he's getting married in 8 weeks. He just finished the military He was in the first armored personnel carrier that entered Gaza City. They did amazing work over there. Anyhow, when his unit was in charge of that area of Shechem and the security at Mount Ebal. And they were in the base there also in Mount Ebal. And I needed their help because I wanted to arrange permission for getting the materials out to be sifted. So he told his commander, the commander of the unit invited me to show him the site and to tell him what I think about it and why it's important. He brought along the general who was in charge of, under whose supervision is his unit of Golani. The whole division of Golani is under something called Unit 36. So he brought the general, by the way, who did a great job now in Gaza, but that's another story. And I spoke to both of them, and he started helping me in a big way. He actually invited me at the time to do a tour of the site because he was leaving the job for the officers of the entire unit and their fathers on a special day. And it was terrific. I have a big plaque at home thanking me for that. It was a nice experience. Now, what's the best thing is that this guy, who was commander of that unit, is now the chief of staff of the commander-in-chief of the army. And we are in constant conversations, not so much now because of what's going on, but if I ever need any help over there, I know the people in the right place, which is it's very nice to know. And actually, when there was the neighboring village brought a tractor to start doing things near the site, I let him know in an hour the business was finished there. In an hour. And nobody knows how, but I'm telling you how. That's how. Because I spent a good number of hours convincing him exactly what this place is. At least possibly, I don't know if I am 100% right or 50%, but I'd bet that I'm on the right track. And these two gentlemen who I told you would be willing to participate in the conference I want to make about it, they think I'm on the right track. And if they think I'm on the right track, I'm happy. It doesn't bother me what other people think. It really doesn't. No, not so bad. So that's that part. Oh, there are so many stories involved in this. When I think about it. Now, the amulet. I can tell you one thing. I sat on this. When I took it to Prague, to the Academy of Science there. The second day that I was there in their laboratory, one of the pictures that they took, I saw 5 distinct parallel markings, that it's very hard to imagine that they were incidental or accidental. Made all the sense in the world that there was some kind of writing behind it. I couldn't make out lettering or anything like that, but it looked systematic. So really the people who came out against it really did not even look at all of the photography that was done of all the characters that looked like lettering in your site. So it was a hit job, like, let's get rid of it because it upsets the entire cart. See, I spent the last 6 years attending advanced Bible courses at Hebrew University in Mount Scopus. And with one lecturer, Baruch Schwartz, he's a genius, he's a very clever fellow. And we disagreed up at the time of the writing of the earliest biblical materials, and I based my idea on what we found at Mount Ebal, the correspondence between what there is in the field and what there is in the biblical text, and it makes all the sense in the world. But he couldn't accept it because as of now, the scientific world doesn't look at that site as 100% legitimate. It's crazy. It's great, and it's not that he's stupid; he's a genius. But you can't make big assumptions unless things are absolutely proven. Now, the fact that we're getting this report done, the final report is extremely important because it's all there. All the material is there. Anyone with a minimal intellectual integrity can see that what the Bible is talking about is what is there up on that mountain. And if that's the truth, a lot of questions begin to be answered. Other questions are raised, of course, that's the nature of these things. But it's real, and if it's real, everybody has to think about the significance, and I will not see the end of this argument in my lifetime, I have no doubt. I don't think my grandchildren will. But it's been a cause that I'm very happy to have participated. That's about it. I mean, there's a lot more. I can talk about this from now until doomsday.
Zvi Koenigsberg har på mange måter dedikert hele livet sitt til alteret på Ebal. Han var jo med da Adam Zertal oppdaget og gravde ut dette stedet på 80-tallet, og presenterte jo da en tegning for Adam Zertal med en skisse fra Talmud om hvordan et alter så ut, og det var på en måte veldig identisk med det de hadde funnet der på Ebal. Han har også vært med for Scott Stripling i prosessen med å finne ut av inskripsjonen på denne amuletten, og har på den måten også ganske stor personlig interesse i dette emnet. Han som sagt levende opptatt av Ebal, og har organisert en videre våtsifting av det materialet som Adam Zertal gravde opp, og tørresifta, for i håp om å finne enda mere. Så det veldig spennende det som skjer der nede, og med stor interesse så følger vi med på hva både Scott og Zvi Koenigsberg og Ebal kan komme opp med rapporter fra dette spennende området. Og dette altså noe som Israelkanalen også med på å støtte på sin måte. Dersom du vil være med og støtte oss, så send gjerne en gave til oss på Vips, eller brukt kontonummeret, så setter vi veldig stor pris på det. Vi vil stå opp for Israel, vi vil stå opp for sannheten, vi vil stå opp for det jødiske folket. I den tiden vi lever i nå, så ser vi at antisemittismen økende rundt i hele verden. Vi ser hatet mot Israel, spesielt i media. Vi ser det på universiteter rundt om i hele verden. Vi får rapporter om hvordan jøder blir trakassert rundt om i hele verden på grunn av at de jøder. Det virker som at man har helt totalt glemt holocaust som skjedde bare for noen 10 år siden. Nå blir Israel så hardt attakkert at vi som kristne, vi nødt til å reise oss og ta vårt ansvar og stille oss på muren for Israel. Jeg vil bare si tusen takk for at du har vært med å støtte oss. Takk for dine forbønner. Takk for alt du bidrar med på din måte. Takk for at du sprer gode ord om Israel. Og så vil jeg bare ønske deg Guds velsignelse, og på gjensyn igjen neste uke. Tusen takk for nå.